Hey, mama, have you ever wondered when you should go to the hospital and what happens when you get there? Have you ever wondered what happens if I go too early? What happens if I wait at home too long and I have my baby at home by accident? How will I actually know when it's time to go to the hospital, right? You are not alone. These are so common when you are a first time mama. This is one of the most common questions I get asked all the time as a birth doula. So today I thought we'd break it down on the podcast to talk about how you can make informed decisions so you feel more confident heading into your labor in those last couple weeks of your pregnancy instead of second guessing yourself. So again, hi mamas and welcome to Empowered Hospital Birth, the podcast. I am Elizabeth. I am a birth and postpartum doula, a mama myself, a childbirth educator, founder of Looma Birth and the Empowered Hospital Birth online programming. If you are preparing for a hospital birth and you want to feel informed, confident, and empowered, you are in the right place. Welcome to my tiny corner of the internet. Each week, I'm going to be helping you on this podcast to understand better as a real mom in a modern world, how and what to expect during your pregnancy, during your labor, your birthing time, your postpartum time, so that you and your family can make informed decisions, communicate confidently with your care team, and walk into your birth feeling prepared, not overwhelmed. Let's jump into today's episode. So we are going to talk all about when you should go to the hospital. And it is unfortunately not something I can just tell you, well, here's the secret sauce, okay? So bear with me because I want to break things down. I'm going to assume that you have Googled this or asked chat or AI, as the younger generation would say. I understand that we're no longer saying Google it, but as a millennial mom, that's my lingo. So, right, you've done your research. You've looked on TikTok University and everything out there is telling you this concept of 511. And I want to explain this to you. And then I'm going to break down the history of this. And then I'm going to share with you my own insight and personal thoughts at the end of this episode. So what does 511 mean? Why do you see it everywhere on the internet about when to go to the hospital? So 5 is how often you are having contractions and those really strong sensations in your body that's going to start moving you through active labor. So every 5 minutes, you are feeling strong sensations, most commonly called contractions, possibly called pressure waves. But regardless of what we call it, it is our body and our uterus pushing, pulling, and connecting with itself to move us through the stages of labor. Now, every 5 minutes, we are having these really strong wrapping sensations created in our uterus. I am, for the sake of mental sanity, call them contractions or pressure waves throughout this episode. Okay, so every 5 minutes, we are having a pressure wave or a contraction. That is our 5 in the beginning of our 511. Now, what do the ones stand for, Elizabeth? Well, the first one is 1 minute long. So we are having these strong sensations, these wrapping sensations in our body. We call them contractions. We call them pressure waves, and they are lasting for a full 1 minute. Now, if you've ever been to a gym yoga class or Pilates class and you have held those plank poses for 1 minute long, you know 1 minute can actually feel like an eternity. So we're having these really strong sensations happening in our body every 5 minutes for 1 minute. But that also means that we're having 4 minutes rest. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And the second one, that 511, is that we have been in this pattern for an hour. So for about an hour at home or wherever you are having these crazy strong sensations in your body. They are lasting roughly 1 minute, and you've been in that pattern for about an hour. That is kind of the golden rule of when to go to the hospital. Now, I'm going to break that down just a little bit. So again, or I'm going to just reiterate it because I want to make sure you're understanding it before we move on. Every 5 minutes, hopefully you're watching this on YouTube as a video. If not, go find this. I'll make it an Instagram little clip because this is cute with my hand. So every 5 minutes we're having a contraction, that 1 minute long. And then that means we have 4 minutes to rest, mamas. So yes, you're working incredibly hard and are uncomfortable for 1 minute. But look, 4 times the amount, we are going to be resting, recuperating, recovering before the next one comes. Okay. 4 times the amount of rest to the one strong moment, minute sensation. Okay. So that is the golden rule of thumb. That's probably what the hospital paperwork is going to tell you. Go to the hospital when you are 511. Now, here's the secret in the industry. I have been doing this for so long. Okay. I had a whole career before 2020 and before the pandemic hit. And let me tell you, first time moms, you were given different information before the pandemic, but the pandemic did not change labor in the birthing body. Okay. Before the pandemic and COVID-19 and testing and making sure we were, spaced apart and all the parameters that came with the COVID-19 and the pandemic, first time moms were being told to go to the hospital at 311. Okay. Now, if you were smart and you're following along, yes, you were following that correctly. Instead of being 5 minutes apart, they are 3 minutes apart. These strong sensations, these wrapping sensations, forward and back, top to bottom, uterus squeezing and contracting for every 3 minutes. They are still 1 minute long, and that means 2 minutes of rest. 1 minute on, 2 minutes of rest. 1 minute on, 2 minutes of rest. But you're in this 311. So 3 minutes apart, 1 minute long, and you've been in that pattern for 1 hour. Now, why was this? Because first-time moms notoriously have longer labors because you are figuring it all out. Your body has never done this. You have never had strong sensations, cramps, contractions, pressure waves to move a baby down and out through your pelvis. And so your body needs lots of time to figure out how to perform this dance and do it with function and ease, right? To be productive, to get us to 10 centimeters, to get us to pushing, to get us to delivering. And so they wanted to wait because hospitals, like I talk about all the time on this podcast, are systems and they only have X amount of rooms. And so they want to get you in and out relatively quickly so they can get the next person in and out relatively quickly. So if they could keep moms home longer, then they, then they would have, more rooms available so they could have a higher amount of clients or patients coming to their hospital to give birth. Now, with the pandemic, that changed, right? Because we needed to do all of those extra testings. We had all of those other safety and protocols in place. And so we bumped that to what second time, or what we call multip moms, were guidelines, which is 5 minutes apart, 1 minute long, 1 hour in that pattern. And everybody just kind of got that rule of thumb because it gave the hospitals enough time to be able to do all the necessary things around the pandemic in order to get you in and through into labor and delivery. So there's a little bit of this still out there, 311, 511. But here's the thing, mamas, is I, as a doula with over 10 years experience and having support literally hundreds of mamas in the hospital over the last decade plus, I don't care. I am not coming into your room wherever you are, supporting you at home, on the phone, in the hospital. Well, obviously we're talking about before the hospital, but I'm not coming in there and I am not timing out your apps. Okay. I'm not timing out your contractions. Forgive me. Okay. I am looking at you. And this is one of my big things. You should send this over to your papas and your partners because they need to understand that it is not about what the concrete information says. It's about you, mama. It's about how you are feeling. And the best and easiest way that I can equate this or make this understandable when you say, Elizabeth, I've never done this, I don't know what I'm looking for, is a bowel movement. Okay, so bear with me. We're going to get a little graphic here for just a moment. It is time to go to the hospital when you feel like it is time. How are you going to know that? It's not going to be a timing app. I don't have an app to recommend. I'm not making a recommendation here in this podcast to go download this app and you're going to be set and know when to go to the hospital. I'm actually pretty anti that, okay? Because you are going to know. I want you to stay home for as long as you feel safe and comfortable, okay? But when it's time to go, you will innately know it's time to go. And the way that you will know it's time to go is the same way you know when it's time to go to the bathroom because you need to take a dump. Okay? Yes, I went there. We're going to talk about feces. We're going to talk about pooping because there is a difference in your body and you are innately aware of it. when you get up and you start moving throughout your morning and you're like, I'm going to have a morning bowel movement. Okay, I'm going to make my breakfast. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Okay, cool. I need to go to the bathroom now, right? Okay, I need to go before I do my work commute, before this, before that, because there's a difference versus that like heaviness feeling of like, I'm going to need a toilet soon versus the, oh my gosh, everybody get out of my way. I need a toilet right now. And you are, pushing people aside and locking that door and pulling your pants down to get to that toilet because you got a void right here, right now, right? We all know the difference. When you got to go, you got to go. And guess what? It is no different in labor and delivery. So there is going to be these urges that come up with you. And like, I can't tell you, like, how do you know the difference? You just know. You've lived in your body long enough. You know the sensations. And even though you've never given birth before, mama, I promise you there will be this innate wisdom that just comes up and you're like, this is really strong. This is really intense versus the like, hey, I got to go right now. Okay. So as always, I want you to listen to your body. I want you to tap into that intuition. We all have it. It's just buried underneath the modern busy world that we all live in. But I believe that if you take the time to cultivate that mindful practice, to cultivate body awareness during your pregnancy, you really can tap into this innate space where you can just be cruising and contracting at home comfortably, going through your comfort care routine, whatever that may look like. And then you'll know when it's time to go to the hospital. Now, my other bit that I have to add is it depends on why you're going to the hospital. Okay. There's a lot of hard, concrete things that might influence your answer beyond just your intuition. And you got to go, right? Obviously, those equations about how often you're having your contractions, but other things like whether you tested GBS positive in your pregnancy, how far you are from your hospital. Maybe your hospital is 10 minutes down the road and you can really hang at home until that last moment. But you might have a 2 or 3 hour drive to your hospital. So we can't wait until we get into a 3-1-1 pattern because we're 3 hours away from the hospital. Your provider might give you other recommendations beyond the 3 or 5 minutes apart. And also, mamas, if you are planning on getting an epidural, you might need to go to the hospital on the sooner side, right? I work with all sorts of families. And we go to the hospital for all sorts of different reasons. If you are somebody who is choosing the hospital as a last resource because that's all that's covered with your insurance, or where you do truly feel safest, but you want the least amount of interventions, I have families who literally want to just walk in and push a baby out. I have other families who want to time it where there's a little bit more grace in the space. They can get through what we call triage at the hospital, that first room that you have to go through where they're assessing you and your labor and your baby before being admitted to labor and delivery, the floor. So there are levels, right? When do you want to get to the hospital? How much time do you want at the hospital? I know oftentimes moms are so worried that they're going to miss the opportunity to get to the hospital, that they're going to have their baby at home by accident or on the freeway by accident. And that's very rare, right? It's very rare for your body to become this runaway train where you miss the window. Again, but you want to end up, my advice of when you should go to the hospital is really 3 things. 1, you should head to the hospital sometime between the 3 and 5 minute window. You're having those strong sensations for 1 minute and you've been in that pattern for an hour or 2. Okay. 2, you are having difficulty coping with these strong sensations. I don't want you to be in discomfort, mama. I don't want you to be in pain. I don't want you suffering. But labor comes with great discomfort. And so you need to be focusing and doing things and not force because like, oh, I'm in labor and I want to start working on my breathing, but because it is when those contractions, when those pressure waves begin building in your body, it is absolutely prohibitive to do anything else but to drop into those strong sensations with eyes closed, deep breathing, probably moaning or mooing or some sort of vocalization, right? So I, as a doula, I'm looking for them to be between 3 and 5 minutes apart, long and nice and strong. I am looking for mamas to be dropping into them, to need a coping mechanism to get through those strong, long sensations. Okay. And then I'm looking at timing it of how far we are from the hospital and when and why does my mama want to get to the hospital, right? Are we looking for minimal interventions and we want to really truly just walk in and deliver our baby? Or do we want to get there, get settled, get a room set up and get to know our team before delivering our baby? Or are we heading to the hospital in active labor, but on the earlier side so we can get comfortable and get that epidural? No wrong choices here, mama. It's about figuring out these choices for you, for your family. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to know, just like you know when to go take that bowel movement on the toilet, you're going to know and be empowered to be able to make the right decision of when it is time for you and your body and your baby to head to the hospital. I don't want you to panic when you get there because it is what it is. There's nothing to be afraid of as far as arriving too early or too late when you trust your body, when these details line up inside it. So one of the favorite things that I love to say is I rather you feel comfortable and confident and go to the hospital and get checked out and know that everything is okay than to stay home and feel scared and uncertain. That's not going to help your labor progress. That's not going to help you be able to move through those physiological stages of labor. So simply, labor takes time and it's simply more comfortable in the early parts of labor to stay at home. Either way, you will follow, hopefully, this 3-part guide. I'm going to make it a little PDF. It'll be linked in the show notes for you as far as everything I just talked about, timing your contractions, how to figure that out at home on your own, how to get through those basic ones, dropping into your body, finding those vowels and mooing and moaning sounds so you're really coping with those strong sensations. And then just taking a moment to evaluate why you want to go to the hospital will help you understand when to go to the hospital. I hope all of this has been helpful and just brought a little bit more confidence to you, knowing when it's time to head to the hospital. Feel free to grab the freebie linked in the show notes, like I've said. And the goal isn't to predict every moment in your laboring process, but it's to understand the process well enough that you can make confident decisions as things unfold. If this resonated with you at all, I also want to just make a quick shout out that this is in part why I created my Empowered Hospital Birth online program. Inside the course, I walk you through the entire hospital experience, what happens once you arrive, understanding triage, interventions, advocacy, pushing, postpartum, all the things, because I just want my mamas to understand and be prepared so it's not shocking you when you're in the middle of the experience. Make sure that you like and share this. I would so appreciate if you took a moment to give our podcast here a little 5-star rating. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. I hope this episode, again, made you feel just a little bit more confident. Please feel free to subscribe, leave a review, or share with another expecting parent. And if you're ready to truly feel prepared for the hospital, please check out Empowered Hospital Birth Online. It is that step-by-step childbirth education program designed to help you understand your options, advocate for yourself, and walk into birth more confident. You'll find the link along with today's free resources in the show notes. Until next time, remember, knowledge is power, confidence is built through preparation, and you got this, mama.